I'm here with Kim Capella. I saw initially her interview with TrueNutrition.com and then later her blog and Instagram. And so I reached out to her. And first off, Kim, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Maybe you could just start with a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, so my name is Kim Capella. I am 24 years old from Atlanta, Georgia, and I blog healthy food. That started with me just writing personal notes to myself about my healthy journey and losing weight, and it became something that a lot of people also benefited from and something so much bigger than I could have imagined.
Awesome. And so you talk a little bit about your weight. Kind of growing up as a kid, I know you're 24, so you're not that far into life, but what did food and what did the expectation of food look like growing up for you?
Food was completely, it was what I did when I was bored. It was comfort. It wasn't ever limited in my house, and I'm an only child, so I was a little bit spoiled, and my parents couldn't tell me no if I wanted something, if I asked for an extra pack of gummy treats or an extra little bag of Cheez-Its or something. My parents said yes, and I never really knew portion sizes. Looking back, my food was it was a lot. I'm surprised I could eat so much as a little kid. Um, we had Chinese food a lot, and I would eat the whole thing at once, and sometimes ask for two things of rice. And so yeah, and my parents divorced when I was young, so when my mom was at work, when I got home after school, I would just eat an entire bag of chips and dip, and I had nothing to do. I was really bored.
And I saw in the True Nutrition article that you said you grew up overweight and struggled with weight loss for a long time. You said learning to make the food yourself gave you the ability to take control of your diet. What do you think some of the reasons previously were that you never learned to necessarily make food? And then once you decided to start making food, how did that kind of change?
The reason that I never learned how to make food was because I was so used to just having processed foods around, easy things that they cure my hunger, so it's food, right? But it's not really what I should have been eating, and I didn't know what was in it. Previous times I tried to lose weight, I was like, oh, I'll eat 800 calories a day, and this will be this will help me lose weight because I'm in a calorie deficit, right? And I would eat gummy snacks and mini Rice Krispie treats and sugary yogurt, and that's it. And it was just, oh, I'll get these 80 calorie foods and just have a couple a day, and that's what I thought would work. But once I started to learn what was in it and what was healthy and actually nutritious, it made weight loss so much easier because I could pick and choose the right things for my body that made my body feel good. And fiber is important in a healthy diet, and so I just felt totally different. It didn't feel like I was missing out because I definitely felt like I was missing out and restricting myself when in the past in the awful ways that I tried to lose weight. So when I learned what was in my foods and how to cook it and how to make it taste good and have variety, there was never a sense of I'm missing out on life or I'm punishing myself. And that's really important.
I know you mentioned online that being insecure growing up eventually led to an eating disorder. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at a second ago is I hated the way that I looked, and I hated as time went by when I couldn't successfully lose weight. and it would snowball because I felt like I was a failure and I had to punish myself and that I didn't deserve food and that I had maybe done something wrong to be overweight, or maybe I was gluttonous to be overweight. And so it got worse because I was uneducated in how to lose weight. It got worse from that because I thought that was a reflection of who I was, and I internalized everything. And so I would go out to places and like write notes on my hand to remind myself not to eat. And they were like you know, deprecating. They were very negative towards myself to keep instilling that fear. It was really bad and it was really secretive, um, which I think also makes it worse because you don't have that external viewpoint reminding you, okay, what you're thinking is a little not normal, and maybe you should think of things in this different perspective.
And I think you said that that you realized at some point that if you continue this way and with the eating disorder, that you'd have long-term health effects and ramifications that you'd have to deal with later. Was that kind of something that helped you decide to kind of round a corner in making a change? And did you have kind of a moment where you just decided to change everything 180 degrees, or was it more of a, a gradual thing?
So those were somewhat two different instances. The moment where I call it my click moment because it literally was a click, and I remember the day. It was September 28th, 2011. Um, I was sitting in my dorm room at the time. It was dark. I had been crying. I was in a depression funk for about a month, and I guess I reached a low at that point and realized that I couldn't keep doing this. I was just satiating my hunger one grape at a time and eating as little as possible, and it was just awful. And I came across a blog that was a weight loss blog through healthy eating. And it was so different than what I had seen in the past because I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of Thinspo websites where it's a community of people inspiring others to like starve themselves and encouraging each other to keep going. And it's it makes me so sick to see if I come across them now. They're very prevalent on Instagram, and they're trying to find ways to prevent them from existing, but they still do. And so that's what I found as a young age, at a young age. But eventually, just one day, that day, I found this healthy eating blog, and I think I know Tara Lynn Fitness. I know that's her name is Tara Lynn, and she just had simple meals, very simple cooking, really, really simple. And it was still nutritious. And I felt like I can do that. Let me do this. And so I would do maybe 2 to 3 recipes I'd try a week. And I also set a goal to um, try a new produce every week, whether it be a new fruit or vegetable. I made it a goal to eventually explore everything, see what I like, see what I don't like. But anyways, that day when I came across her blog, it became a lot more of a more realistic goal for me. And I stopped thinking in terms of I need to lose this weight as soon as possible. And I have a long time. I just need to change some things rather than getting overwhelmed all at once, you know? So I gave myself a year to lose the amount of weight that I need to lose to a healthy weight. And I felt like it was very, very realistic. It was 1 pound, 1 pound a week. And yeah, it's, it was all about perspective and just not getting overwhelmed. So the time where I was talking about uh, the long-term health effects is when I started eating healthy, maybe I think a year and a half or 2 years into it, it became a problem purely, mostly because of social media again, where I became so consumed in eating healthy and eating the right things. And um, I also paired with body dysmorphia from losing the weight and not realizing how thin I was. I developed orthorexia, which I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but it's like the obsession to eat healthy. And there are foods that I completely avoided, and I still don't know why I avoided them. Like I avoided coconut, which is why my blog is the Coconut Diaries, because it was kind of like a FU to that fear, because I love coconut now. But I wouldn't eat any nut other than almonds, um, any kind of bread, there, bananas. So that was when it started to affect my health, was because I was developing like hormonal imbalances, breaking joints, and so yeah, just to clarify.
And what have you kind of done to, or what did you start to kind of implement? I know you mentioned the trying a new produce every week, but to kind of get out of that point in life to kind of move forward, what were some things that kind of helped you with that?
Um, I told people I stopped having a I stopped thinking of it in terms of something to be embarrassed about. I stopped thinking of, I used to be embarrassed to tell people I want to lose weight. Um, I wanted to seem like I was fine in my body and I was confident, because they say, like confidence is attractive. But I wasn't confident in any way, and I was embarrassed to tell people. But when I told my mom and I told my boyfriend at the time, I want to lose weight. um, so I might be like eating different things, and I would also just appreciate if you don't ask me to eat out anywhere, because I just need to do this for a little while. And if you ask me to go get sushi or something, I'm gonna say yes. So they respected that, and we found ways to cook from home, make our own sushi, so that I could learn portion control and also find ways to make things in a healthy way from home. That helped a lot. Was just the way that I thought about weight loss and just releasing that shame feeling about it, and knowing that people supported me, that helps so much. Another big thing was I was afraid to go to a gym. I didn't want people judging me because I was overweight. And I know that a lot of people relate to this, is they think that if they're overweight, people are going to say, why are they in here? Why are they working out? They don't belong. And and that fear for me came because I knew people in college that said negative things about people. And I'm like, I'm right here. Do you realize what you're saying? That's not right. And I, at some point, was just like, I really don't care. They can say whatever they want, and in a year, they can look at me and they can see that I was here with a purpose. So getting over that fear of judgment and just doing it, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And every day is, you have to fight it every single day, but just getting over that fear of judgment. And what else? I'd say the biggest thing was just not getting overwhelmed and taking your time, day at a time. Have your goal for the day, and yeah. Oh, and finding an exercise that you really enjoy because I hated exercise.
What does that kind of look like for you now, going from somebody who avoided the gym at all costs to now? Obviously, it sounds like you found something that you enjoy. What is your exercise, or how does that fit into life for you now?
What got me into it at first was Zumba. And I went with my roommate, and it was so fun because, I had a buddy to go with me, and there wasn't this totally alone feeling. Um, and it was a fun class, and I just went once a week. That was my goal, once a week. And then I liked it, and I started going 3 times a week. And then it was standard, like elliptical, treadmill, bike. And then I was really into weightlifting, and that's predominantly what I did. And then for about 6 months, it was running paired with weightlifting, and I did a half marathon. But after that, I started to reap those um, consequences from the orthorexia, and I broke my foot. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I started to realize like I can't do as much impact to my body. So I do weightlifting paired with cycling because it's so low impact. And cycling's been my thing now. Cycling's what I have my goals on, and I really, really want to improve. I'm kind of new. I just got my bike 9 months ago.
Well, congratulations. So looking forward, what are some of kind of your, whether it's life or physical goals, 5 years or so down the road?
In terms of life, I don't know. My goals, I knew my goals in college. I wanted to work at the CDC. I'm a biochemist, and that's where I am now. So,
Congrats.
thank you. So, I don't know if I want to stay here because in 2 years I have to decide if I want to stay within the CDC or if I'll go into um, private company. I think it would be really, really cool if I could integrate nutrition. That's what I really want to do. Because what I do now is mostly just chemistry. It doesn't involve nutrition or metabolism or anything like that. I think it would be really neat if I could work in a lab that incorporates nutrition in some way and has my two loves together. In terms of fitness, I have no idea where I'll be. I think I'd have to think about it, but I kind of would like to do another half marathon as long as I don't feel like it's going to destroy my body again. um, and or a triathlon would be really cool.
Very nice. And so I know you said it sounded like your blog, social media, all that happened a little bit by accident in the way that it's at least come to. Can you talk about that a little bit, and kind of the reason for maybe starting that, and then also what that's kind of developed into?
I started on Instagram and it was kind of a new app, and it was a personal account where I would post pictures of me, my family, events, snow. And because I was starting to cook, I was still learning things and proud of things. So I remember I posted my first omelet on Instagram. I posted some pretty cool sandwiches that I liked. And because of hashtags and the fact that it was kind of new, I I started to get followers. And I was like, who are these people? And they were asking questions like, oh, how much of this did you use? Where did you find this? And I answer, I can't ignore people. I can't do that. I know some accounts do. I don't know how they can do that. So I was answering, and then I started to just say, I'll just put it in the caption. I'll put all the information in the caption so there shouldn't be any questions. And because of that, I had more followers come because they found it useful as well. And because Instagram posts have a pretty short lifespan, they last no longer than 48 hours and people aren't interested anymore and things get lost in the feed. So people started saying you should really archive this somehow. You should put this up on a website. You need to collect these recipes. And at the time I was dating a web developer, he's like, "Oh, we can make you a website easy." So that's what he did and set me up on a really easy website. And all I knew was how to make posts. But eventually I learned how to do it myself and run my blog. And because I had the blog, it also made the Instagram grow quicker too. They supplemented each other very well. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, it just snowballed.
And what's kind of your goal or mission with all of those different avenues now? What's your hope that'll do for the people who kind of follow you?
I'm not sure that I ever have a big picture for things. Um, all I know is that I document what I'm going through. And if somebody can find it useful, then that's fantastic. And what I find is that there almost always is somebody that does. Even if I think at the time, this is pointless, this is embarrassing, the amount of feedback and love that comes back is it just always amazes me. It's always just mind blowing. And I know that I like what I do, and I'm gonna be. Sometimes I say, "Oh, I'm not gonna do this. I've got too much on my plate," but I do it anyways. Like I can't not do it.
It seems like for a lot of people that it kind of grows in that way, that it comes from a natural place of wanting, being in love with the food or the life or the change that it's made for you and wanting to kind of share that with others. Um, if you were to have a conversation with somebody who's ready to make a change, who's looking to lose weight or have a healthier lifestyle, and you were going to give them some advice, what would that advice be?
I think that my advice would be a culmination of things, and it would just be to make sure that your goals for weight loss are coming from a good place and that you're truly trying to care for yourself and your future and give yourself something good and do the best that you can without don't give into negative criticism from yourself because it's not going to get you anywhere, and keep it positive. As hard as it can be, just keep it positive. Don't get overwhelmed. Care for yourself, and you'll get there. Um, just know that you'll get there. Yeah, that was the biggest for me, is the difference between hate and knowing that you'll get there. And you deserve it. There's no reason why you don't deserve it. There's no reason why you can't do it. Um, you're just as fantastic, strong-willed, and awesome as anybody else. So Yeah, I think, yeah, that's my advice.
That's a great message. And then in a similar way, if you could go back and give yourself some advice at the beginning of this journey that maybe would have resonated with yourself or would have given yourself some encouragement, what would that be?
If I could go back in time, my advice for myself would be don't get wrapped up in social media and what everybody else is doing. Um, it creates room for negativity and comparison and self-talk. And there's no need to have that temptation. I think I could have avoided the whole orthorexia thing had I avoided social media. So I'd say either avoid social media or take it easy and be wise. Not everything you see is true. And just kind of think critically about things, more critically about things, because there's a bunch of either straight up lies and deceptions or other people instilling disordered behavior. And so just think about things.
I think that's great advice, especially for um, your generation, my generation, because it can be tempting sometimes to have one to see things and take them at face value. And like you said, it's not necessarily what you see online always. And then lastly, where can people find out more about you, what you're doing, and connect with you?
Usually things go to Instagram first. Um, and I kind of use my blog as a summary of things going on in my life, recipes. I also have a newsletter, and that is really good for the most important stuff and also sometimes secret stuff. um, but I also have a YouTube channel that I post on at least every week, and I have all kinds of videos, what I eat in a day, just recipe videos. I have interesting topics that I want to discuss and have a open conversation with my viewers about. Um, what else? Random vlogs when I go cycling. So Instagram, my blog, and YouTube.
Okay, great. Well, I'll include links to all those. And Kim, thanks for sharing, for the inspiration, and for all the good work you're doing. Keep it up, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.